Things might get weird.
Yeah.
Welcome to our life.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hewlett House Podcast. I'm Hayden, and my sweet host is here with me today.
Thank you. My name's Jessica.
We're going to change the mood here. We're doing two today, so, we got all of our wiggles out and our ranting and our anger and our fighting, so we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, last one was a little aggressive. So we're going to try and be a little happier. Huh, babe?
Probably go listen to it, make sure it even makes sense.
Huh, babe? We're going to be happy.
Totally happy.
My life is good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, babe.
This is a great week. No one's on their cycle this week. This is perfect. This will be great.
You dork. I sure love you.
I love you most.
Oh, wait, that's for the end.
Oh, should we end now?
Dang.
Thanks for listening. Good news segment real quick. Some kid stopped a bus after his bus driver claimed he was going to... I think this is on the Good News Network.
Did that one.
We didn't do it yet. We never talked about it.
I thought we did.
Nope.
What the?
And the bus driver was... I think it was a lady said she was... I could have this wrong. But she said she was feeling ill and was going to pull over, and then she passed out, and some kid jumped up and stopped the bus and basically saved all the students from oncoming traffic. So good job, little guy. Way to take control and
that's crazy.
Save lives. Imagine you're a bus driver passing out and you're like a junior high kid. Like, what the heck's happening?
Nope. Can't imagine.
And why aren't there seatbelts on buses?
Can you imagine a bus driver trying to get everybody unbuckled if they can't?
What's worse? If you get in a bad car accident in a bus, you're going to go bouncing around throughout the bus. I don't know. Someone help us.
But even in, like, other buses. Yeah, what's the answer? Tell us.
We don't ride in the back of trucks anymore, mostly.
Valid. That's valid.
Tell us what you tell us about your stuff you want to go over today.
So today we thought we were having this conversation, and I don't know. I've been listening to stuff, and it keeps coming up to me that things that we kind of talked about it a little bit, actually, this last episode. Things that used to be, like, second nature to us are now things, like, we're having to...
Make an effort to do.
Like, big time.
Yeah.
Make efforts. Make sure that there's time out to do those things.
Yep.
Right?
Social media is ruining society slowly in a lot of ways. And I think it does a lot of good, too, actually.
For sure. I think it's a good... I think social media is awesome if balanced, right? Yeah. And so I think that that's mainly the key that we're missing here is the balance. But I was listening to this podcast. It was, which one was it? The Just Ingredients podcast. And she was interviewing this Dr. Gonzalez, I do believe. I think it was like episode 107. We'll link it. But he was saying that even, like, breathing, we do wrong now. Like, as a child, we would breathe from our stomach. He's like, take a big breath. And she went, like, with her shoulders and everything. And he's like, that's not the way to do it. Like, you're breathing with your diaphragm. Yeah. He's like, you breathe with your diaphragm. You're supposed to breathe in and out, like yoga type breathing, right? Where there's like a way to breathe, and kids naturally breathe that way. But
my stomach pokes out when I breathe from my stomach. I don't want to breathe that way.
Even that too. He was talking about that, saying he's like, we are constantly sucking in our stomach, and it's making it so we are not breathing properly either, right? He's like, the best thing that you guys can do, because she's like, what are some tips that you can give moms to help their day or whatever? She's like, feel like they never have any time, right, to sit down and do something specific. And he's like, when you're in your car, stop sucking in, and just sit there and breathe from your stomach naturally. And even just those breaths are like cleansing breaths, right?
Yep.
But he was also saying something about how kids, when they get hurt, they cry, or when they are stressed or something's wrong, they'll sigh. Like they're letting out the emotion.
Yeah.
Where we as adults have learned to hold it back and not make a big deal. Right.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, your body needs to let go of that. And here we are just holding all of this in.
I hit record on that, right?
Yeah.
On the video?
Yeah. Do you want to check it?
Oh, I did it again. I need to move that thing.
Yeah, move that.
Yeah, we're good. Let's see starting a fire.
So yeah, he was just talking about all these things that, and me even as well, things that we just don't do.
Yeah.
And that are just things that we have to consciously make an effort for, like going outside and just being outside.
Yeah.
You know?
A walk or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we just get inside and we just want to sit and relax, and then we just get on our phone and just veg out, right? We want to numb out.
Yep.
Well, even just doing that outside and getting some of that fresh air.
Andrew Huberman talks
be
about
amazing.
this.
What did he
I think
say?
I shared that clip with you, but he said that if you find yourself on your phone mindlessly scrolling through Instagram and watching reels and you don't even know how you got there, I think this is what kind of ignited me to go, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
Like I think we talked about this. We'll just open up an app and we're on this app and I'm like, how did I get here? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost
yeah,
like
yeah.
we talked about this, like how you're driving and you're like you get home and but you don't remember the last 10 minutes. You're like, okay, I know I was safe and I followed rules and I made it here, but what happened? Mm-hmm. And yeah, he just talked. He's like he says if you have that, if you find yourself doing that, you are depleted in dopamine. And then we wonder why we're feeling depressed and sad and all this crap, right? And I've mentioned this, but I have taken. I don't get on TikTok nearly as much, but then I found myself recently, confession, almost spending just as much time on Instagram.
Right.
So what I did was I don't get on TikTok as much. I don't get on Twitter at all, and that has already helped me. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to set a timer. I'm freaking embarrassed at how much time I've spent on social media, even still.
Yeah.
And so I set a timer on Instagram so I get an alert. And the first day I did it, I hit the time before I said it. I'll tell you this. I would set it at 45 minutes for the whole day that I gave myself for Instagram. By late afternoon, early evening, I had hit that time. And I got the alert come up and I'm like, whoa. Like I have been on this app that much. Like we don't realize how, at least me. Okay. Sorry. Don't judge me. I'm working on this. Literally working on just Instagram. Just
so that wasn't
app.
even like Facebook or any other social.
So easily an hour. I bet that day I had spent between like Reddit, Instagram, and Facebook.
Oh, way more than that, probably even.
Probably.
Between all three of them.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
just Insta.
Just setting up that alarm, it has made me more like the past few days, I have actually almost forgotten about Instagram. I'm like, oh, I probably need to do a post, or I'll get on and I'm like, oh, I need to post this, or we have some build jobs that are getting finished and whatever. And I'm like, oh, I need to like be a team player too. So it's this freaking necessary evil in some ways. And I think it's up to us how happy it can make us. But man, I've been listening to these other guys talk how they've taken a few days off of their phones, period. Maybe they're texting or something, but really leaving their phone alone and talking about just even after a few days feeling so much better.
Yeah. I think we're just constantly being fed information, period.
Totally. Yeah.
So it's like between listening to music, listening to podcasts or shows, or on Instagram or, social media and stuff, like we have this thing that's right here that's constantly feeding us information. There's not really room for any other information to come in, right?
Yeah.
Including your own thoughts.
Well, I heard these guys talking on a podcast just recently, and I listen to too many podcasts, honestly, and I find myself numbing out through those now lately too. So I'm like, oh, some of them are awesome. Some of them I need, and some of them I'm just like, yeah, maybe, and some of them I need, and they're actually very helpful in life, and others I'm just like, this is kind of a waste of time. But and maybe some people feel like that listening here, and I think it's okay sometimes too. Like I love movies for that reason. Like I love to watch. I enjoy movies. They do give me a time to just like space out for a bit. And I find myself kind of doing that with podcasting too. And for me, I'm like, okay, if I'm in the car driving, I can listen to a book, I can listen to a podcast, something educational, or I can listen to music. And I do all three, but mostly I find myself listening to podcasts and then even books lately, but or for a while now. But these guys were saying like, man, isn't it crazy just over the past like 15 years how times have changed, that we get on an airplane and they said they were looking around and every single person on the plane had their head down looking at their phones. Like, can you imagine like 100 years ago if people could peek into our future and go, what are these little boxes everybody is obsessed with looking at? And I'm like, that is such a good point. Like, what the hell are we even doing all day, every day? We're just so glued to this like little screen. And I heard some other guys talking about how Andy Frisella I love Andy Frisella. Shout out, by the way. He swears a little, but I think he should be our next president. He has a lot of ways to fix us, and he's into some of the same conspiracies. And I think he's right on most of them. And he has been right on a lot of stuff. But he's like, man, everything was good until about 2008. Like 2008, and he's like, the biggest difference from 2008 with times changing, social media, and the iPhone came out about that time, 2007, 2008, right? Right after my mission. And I'm like, holy crap, he's totally right. And so who's pushing? You have all these politicians and these big media people and pushing propaganda and bullcrap into your phones all day. And it's almost like they're freaking, in some ways, there's this mind control bullcrap game. I think a lot of people are waking up and are aware of it. But like, there's just a lot of crap getting fed to us through there. And it's as bad as like food or, I don't know, smoking and drinking and all this stuff. These freaking phones and these devices in our hands. So man, if you can take control of it, we are going to feel better. Yeah.
Physically, right? Well, even physically sometimes too.
And look at the last 12 years since that's came out. Like there's just things seem to get crazier and seem to be super overwhelming to a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people are doing what we hear it all the time. Mental health. It's like this, it's almost like this triggering word now. This like, I don't know, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's getting overused because everybody's in the freaking funk, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be aware. The first part of addiction is what? Recognizing the issue. Yeah. Admitting that you have a problem, you know?
Yeah.
And
which I think is why it's great that they have like these features on the phone still that you can have the time limits.
Totally.
And I find myself even like, I told myself, okay, I turned on my time limits as well, but I did it for Facebook and Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. Because I thought, I kept justifying, I'm on there because I'm doing podcast stuff or I'm like finding stuff to do, like research, whatever. Yeah, but I'm sitting there like 4 hours later, not really, but you think like 4 hours later in the day and
if you're on the toilet and your feet are going to sleep because
you
and your knees have elbow imprints on them, you've been on the phone too long.
Yeah, but I don't want to say it's just social media. Yeah. I want to emphasize that it's not just social media. Yeah, the phone has a lot to do with it. I think we're being fed stuff all the time by, again, podcasts and by just kidding. Keep listening. By what? As we're setting out a podcast.
Yeah.
No, but I think that I think we need to. The point is that we need to make sure that these things that are not so second nature anymore. Things like, again, going outside, meditating, being in our own thoughts, not letting anything else come in. Hold on, let me finish. And letting us think for ourselves and just being silent in general.
What's wrong with being bored? When is the last time you were actually bored?
Yeah. I need to tell my kids this like all day, every day.
We grew up, I wonder if we seriously grew up in the most awesome generation ever. 90s kids. We watched the cell phone come about. We watched the internet come about. We actually saw this stuff happen, and we were one of the last generations to actually enjoy playing outside and being freaking bored, sitting in the car and maybe no air conditioning or it was hot as crap. And I remember long drives or long flights and no TVs and no music, and you're just sitting on the plane or sitting in the car and you're just like, looking outside. And
but then your
imaginations go totally.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is it. We're so like, here's an iPad. Just shut up. Just get out of our. And we're guilty of this too.
Because we don't want to have to deal with it either. We're overwhelmed as well. It's not even just our kids. Like we are overwhelmed, and so when we get overwhelmed, the quickest fix is to give them the device so that they're entertained. It's not our responsibility to entertain them all the time.
It really is not.
In fact, honestly, it's better for us to not entertain them all the time. And I have had to remind myself that as a mom that's with them, I have to remind myself of that all the time. And I find myself hiding electronics, hiding remotes, just so it's not an automatic thing for them to go and do.
Yep. Well, we've done, and I actually got this from Jocko Willink, that Navy SEAL guy, who's awesome. And he's got kids' books that are awesome. Read them to your kids. But he actually made the comment like a couple years ago. I was listening to him on a podcast, and I've listened to at least one of his books that was great, Extreme Ownership. Anyway, he made the comment on a podcast once. He's like, when school starts, my kids do not play video games. And I can't remember if he said he lets them play on the weekends during the school year. Yeah. And in the summertime, he lets them play here and there or whatever. And he's the big jiu-jitsu guy too. He's part of the reason I was like, hey,
jiu-jitsu.
Do jiu-jitsu. But he
Wait, do you think that jiu-jitsu is good for the kids?
Yeah. You're making fun of me now. You know what? I fell right into that. You're a jerk. But so we, during the week, and we've done pretty good about this, but during the week, they can watch a little TV or whatever at night after dinner or if everything's done. And there's some TV that gets kicked on at nights, but there's no gaming. The iPad's been around a little more lately, which I don't like, but we try to minimize, especially where the weather's getting good. I'm like, go outside, dude. Go play. Yeah. And it's tougher in the wintertime. It is hard
in the winter.
Yeah.
But also, we have a basement full of toys.
Yeah.
That hardly get played with. Because they just have other things that and then it's whining that they can't use electronics instead of actually taking the time to go do something. Taft has gone out. You fixed his bike, and every day since you fixed it, he's been out there and he'll go and ride his bike.
Did his tires stay pumped up?
Yeah.
So
I don't
far?
know how magically
you need to check them.
I don't know
by tangent, but does anybody else's kids
literally
flatten every tire in 5 minutes after you fix their bike? We went.
Yeah. Tell
we bought.
Tell him, babe.
Tell you right now. We bought these little cool BMX bikes for the boys, and even Maddie has a little bike. But they were getting so many flats on their other bikes. I'm like, what can we do to prevent flats? So they put this
when we
plastic.
Went to the bike store.
Yeah, they put this plastic thing on the inside of their tire that the tube rests against, so that prevents like thorns and things from getting in. Then we glued up the tube. So I'm like, sweet, like this should minimize every flat. Like we really shouldn't. Whatever. Every damn one of their tires is still flat out there. And I'm like, how? How is this? So I'm like, I knew there's a ton of goo in there that we put in. So I just went out and pumped them all up, and I'm hoping maybe the goo will kind of fix it. But let me know if not, we'll fix them. But I'm like, dude, I know. I just fixed your bike. And then I try to show them how to do it so they can do it later.
That's the thing is that I keep.
And it's my fault because they don't ride their bike or whatever.
No, but my thing is, I'm like, what? You feel insane because literally every time they go out to ride it, they pop it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is happening? So, and I'm like, I'm not going to just do it again because you're just going to pop it. And I'm like, I feel like an insane person doing something over and over and expecting a different result. You know what I mean? So anyway, so bad mom moment, but.
Well, I'm kind of like, if I don't fix it and I make them like go with the pain, either A, they can fix it on their own.
Yeah.
Or they'll realize, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't have rode my bike there and I won't ride it there again.
Right.
You know? But it doesn't matter. It always happens.
And I think it is getting better because around us most of the building is done.
Yeah.
And so it's not like fields that have those pokey.
We have those goat head thorns around here that are nasty. They're the absolute worst.
Anyway.
They'll make you say a curse word when you step on them barefoot.
Oh, they hurt so bad. They do. Okay, so we were talking about like taking time to meditate each day, right? And I have, the days that I do that, I do feel like, or getting out and sitting in the grass or, like connection. Honestly, this is what this does, is it keeps us connected to everything but what's in front of us.
To the matrix.
Literally.
Let's call it the matrix.
Okay, we can call it whatever you want. But like our connection with each other, with the world that is literally right in front of us, not this big interworld, right? Internet world. So it feels good to take the timeouts to do those things. But something that that you had brought up. Well, actually, let me do this one thing. Let me read this one.
What we're
quote
getting
first.
at is,
hold on.
Okay.
Let me read this one quote first because when I was meditating the other day, there the Jay Shetty that I was doing, he talked about forest bathing. So I don't know if you can Google it. It's on the Calm app, but I looked it back up.
Forest bathing.
Forest bathing.
First I've heard of it. Go ahead.
Talking about taking time to be amongst just trees in general. And
or sunlight, maybe outside.
No, he's saying specifically with trees.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And he's like, if you don't live in an area that you can't be around trees, then go to the park or whatever. Anywhere that's like, even in the big city, there's going to be a park that has some trees planted, right? And he was saying that some of the benefits are lowering your heart rate, your blood pressure, reduces the stress hormone cortisol, depression and cholesterol. It boosts immunity. And he says, go be around any tree, unplug and be present. And he's like, and these are some of the amazing effects of doing so. But I totally feel that. And feel myself being drawn to doing those things even more and more lately. Like now that the sun's out, I'm like, all I want to do is be outside. But obviously we have to be inside and do things. And then I get in a rut where I'm like, I don't want to do anything. And then I'm like, no, go outside and it'll like recharge you almost. For me,
yeah,
I feel like it's like a recharge.
No, I
like,
think that's
why
for
is it that
everybody.
it has to be second nature that I need to go be outside?
Yeah.
Totally.
No, I think it's super helpful it's healing, I think, to be outside.
Yeah, and be in my own thoughts and make sure I'm meditating and not having any other distractions around me. And I think about way back when, where it was like literally they lived outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Not even that long ago, really.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
we lived outside a lot.
Yeah. And so, well, I mean, literally like
yeah.
our house was
Yeah, I
outside.
got you. All right. You need to find a cave or something to sleep in.
Yeah. And they just did it. Like, it was just, I don't know. I'm almost like jealous of some of
Me
like
too.
simpler times.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in reality, we have the opportunity to do that. We just don't.
Yeah.
But you were saying you were listening to this podcast that I think it's important for us to take those timeouts.
Yeah.
That's at the end. And take time to just be and to do the thing and breathe properly and to let things go and not
be mindful. Realize how you're feeling.
Yes.
Are you feeling stressed? Will it help you to just take...
And
nobody's
why?
going to miss... What?
And why? Why are you stressed?
Yeah.
What is it that's going on? Like processing through those things, because we just mask it.
Yeah.
And we don't continue on. And then that's why everybody needs a therapist, because they're like, what's wrong? And they're like, it's right here. And you're like, oh yeah, but you did not take the time to even think about what the problem is, other than I'm feeling this way. Something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Instead of really sitting with what is wrong, we just put up we have all of these masking agents. I'm feeling anxious. I'm going to get on my phone to numbing agents, right? Or I'm going to watch a movie and numb out, or I'm going to eat and numb out, or I'm going to, you know what I mean? We have all these things that are these numbing agents these days. And so it's important to sit and be present and understand.
In the shit.
Yeah, no, legit.
Sit in the shit, legit.
Legit.
Don't quit.
What other things rhyme with that? Hurry, keep going.
Make it fit.
Oh.
Twerk it. Sorry, too far. No, totally. Yeah, sit in the stuff,
But also, it can be a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to get with the podcast that you were listening to. Who was it again? Did you say?
It wasn't a podcast. I was actually just kind of like, I was feeling like my routine was getting in the way a little bit, because I was actually doing really good. I was in a funk for a while, and so I was just, and like I'm not now, but I do feel better for what it's worth. I'm just in a midlife crisis a little bit,
It's fine. We all got to go through it.
And do we though? It may just me. But I was kind of like, man, meditation and journaling, and I haven't been the best at meditation, but I almost felt like because I was in this funk, I would just like meditate and journal, and I was actually feeling better because of it. and I still like journaling for other reasons, but that we can get into later. But I kind of noticed that because I was in a funk and I was meditating, as I started to feel better, that meditation hadn't been as positive as it once was for me right now. That's not to say that it wouldn't, or that I could do better at it or anything like that. Cause that's part of meditation, right? Is sitting with it. But I think I'm almost like, to your point, I'm almost finding more peace in spending less time on apps on my phone, buried in the crap, and I don't feel like I need meditation maybe quite as much because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So here, let me read this. He said, what was the name of the guy?
So his name's, I think it's Eben, Eben, Britton.
Britton.
But on Instagram, it's EDS Britton, Britton. And he's kind of like this stoner mushroom guy. He used to be the co-host on Mike Tyson's podcast. That's actually how I heard about him.
Okay.
But he was in the NFL. Really cool, positive energy dude. Little language here and there. But he's really, he talks like a dude, like a stoner guy, which is why I say that. But he's great. I really like him. He did,
He wrote a book too. And this is one of the things he said that I liked. He said, discipline and having a routine is great. When routine goes stale and it's weighing you down, it's not of service to you anymore. So
yes. So I had that feeling, and then I saw a reel or something on Instagram actually pop up where he said that.
Yeah. So the thing is it's like these things can be really good tools. But if you are just like pounding it because you're like, I have to do these things to feel this way or to be this way or to be successful, like that's when it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. He was like, I got up and I just was going to do my morning routine, and I felt like I would rather do anything else than this routine. He's like, that's when I needed it. I realized I needed to change it up.
So for me, I like to do it just randomly. Like if I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's when I pull out those tools, right? Yep. I'm not making it every day has to be done. Otherwise my day is not successful.
Yeah.
I think that's what his point is it's like, these are tools to help you in certain situations. And we need to make sure that we are doing them regularly, but that it has to be done a certain way all the time. Otherwise, it's not success. Then that's when you're becoming stale, and that's when it's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
So I thought that was like a good, happy balance with like, yeah, we need to take time out, and we need to make sure that we're breathing, we're letting things go.
How's your dopamine levels? Are you burning them all out before you wake up?
Don't make it a negative thing by making it too big of a deal. Like it's not an all or nothing thing either. So
it's all a process.
Yeah.
Speaking of busy schedules, we have an 11 o'clock with our 4-year-old at our preschool.
So cute. I'm so excited. So anyway, we just wanted to kind of give you that little thought that we had this last little bit, and hopefully it's helpful for you. Thanks,
yes,
babe.
indeedy. Thank you. Love you.
I love you most.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
It's still recording.
Why? Did I hit it twice? Possible.